Hello, this is a quick reflection on the filming that we've been doing over the past 2 weeks. We're just going to be talk about how we think we did and things that we feel we can improve on. So, first thing we want to talk about is the fact that we felt that we were organised in transport for getting to and from the location we needed to film. Since it was too far to walk, well, it wasn't, but it just saved a lot of time. It'd have taken at least
An hour.
hour to walk
Yeah.
there. So we were very organised on transport and timing. We both collaboratively agreed on times and how we're getting there. So we both shared lift with each other, which
We found that our setup when we got there was quite efficient, although we wish we didn't spend almost half a day filming of setting it up, but we probably should have come down the day before and set it up, but that was just, I guess, poor planning on our part.
So if we had to do it again next time, what we'd do is we'd make sure everything was set up before we actually went down to film. So we'd spend one day before filming just getting everything ready, setting up all the props, putting all the bits up on the walls and everything, instead of trying to incorporate into our actual filming time, because that took.
Also, we found the filming to be quite awkward for outside sequences. As for our production, we didn't particularly want it to be too light, but we didn't also want it to be too dark that you couldn't see anything. So we had only about an hour window to film. So we found it quite awkward to film outside sequences.
Karen.
No, I finished.
In the same way, probably the biggest problem we faced again was lighting. Even though we did do some test footage in the focus group, we showed some of our test footage, and one of the recommendations was that we made it a little bit lighter, but we don't want to use a man-made light. We want it to be natural, such as
Candles.
the candles that we used to create an effect. So obviously, instead of having a harsh, bright LED light, you'd have just like candle flickers, so an orange light which adds to the atmosphere and effect we're trying to create. But the only problem we had with that was obviously to have more candles, you need more space. To have more candles creates more of a risk of
fire.
of danger, so we had to think about our risk assessment, which included that. But we had to get the right balance between having it at the right light, but not too bright, and not too many candles that just look silly, because too many candles in shot would have just been ridiculous and just.
And it would affect the mise en scene as well.
It felt it would just look a bit unnatural.
So that was probably our biggest problem to overcome, was lighting.
Yeah, and we found that since, obviously, again, because we had to start filming around 4 for it to be dark enough to film. By the time we started filming at 4,
we lost light by
we lost light
5.
by half an hour of filming, it'd be dark. So we found that our first shot would be fairly light. You'd still be able to see.
It'd be a good shot, the first one.
Yeah,
the rest of them
there'd be a grey sky, but then half an hour later, at 4:30, it'd be pitch black, and we'd either have to turn a light on, or just not be able to do it at all. But since we can't, we're just trying to incorporate the fact that it's adding an unnatural light just looks completely different to the natural lighting of the sky. So that was probably the main difficulty we faced.
That was quite hard to overcome.
So I think if we did it next time, we'd definitely make sure stories fit in the daytime.
Well, outside sequences at least. Because we just found it a massive pain to film outside when it's dark.
Because we had so much small amount of light hours, then it was just hard. So I think next time, preferably, I prefer to film in the morning hours where we have more light for longer. I think that'd be better.
Yeah, sounds good.
Anything else we need to?
I think that's good.
I'd say, as for actual filming, I think we did have some effective shots. We used quite a range of shots, but what we didn't really think about was the limit of space that we had in the garage, which did become a problem because obviously with the tripod, when you need it's a big garage, but it's not big enough for both of us to be stood around the camera and have the tripod legs open and have all the mise en scene on the floor that we needed for the area to look effective.
And the problem we were finding that a lot of the time the camera wasn't stable, and halfway through the shot the camera would just go straight down. So
because we needed obviously a less
a smaller base.
A smaller base for the tripod. It wasn't as stable. So when you tried to, if you just move the camera a little bit, it went
down.
Yeah, which did become
annoying.
Yeah, you could
That's what
say
I work
that.
for. Yeah. Is there anything else?
I'd say, as for interference from the outside world, if you want to call it that, so general public and things like that, we didn't have much of a problem. But obviously, because part of it was filmed on a public street, it's a quiet village in Ewley, so there wasn't many people. But you still did have the occasional car popping up,
almost hitting the camera,
almost hitting the camera, which we won't talk about. But we next time I think we will take more precautions as to
get a high-vis jacket for the tripod or something.
Yeah, just making sure that everything is visible to the public and it's more clear of what's going on. I mean, we didn't have any issues, but we did have one person just sort of like inquire about what we were doing, whether that was because they felt we were doing something wrong or they were just interested in what we were doing because they seen the camera.
Well, they thought it was photography, so...
Yeah, that's a good point. But so, obviously, I think in the fact that obviously because we were in a garage down my garden
and there was a lot of noise,
people could walk down the side of the path where the garage is, and I think we did well in the fact that
no one walked in shot.
No one was in shot, or the fact that no one sort of had any suspicions that we were doing anything that we shouldn't have been in the garage. So if you've seen two guys in all black clothing heading into a garage at 4 or 5 o'clock, hammering something in the garage, it might look a bit suspicious, but fortunately we didn't have any problems with that. Yeah. So I felt we made it obvious that we were there for a purpose that wasn't...
Well, we did have a tripod in our hands.
Yeah,
camera,
but
so.
when we were in the garage, it wasn't that obvious to them because they couldn't see us, could they?
True. Is that it?
I think
that's great.
I think that's about it for now. So that was just a quick reflection on how our filming went.